What's going on, golf addicts? David Barnett here, the Tour Junkies. Pat Perry with me. He is in a cabin in the woods somewhere, wherever he's hiding the bodies. I think he's staying there overnight. He's gotten rid of a couple people he had to take care of. This is Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings, where after the podcast, we're going to talk through a couple names that we disagree with, have some debate, and then hit you with some DK Sportsbook picks of the week, which, Pat, I have to give it to you. I have to give you a big pat on the back and me a very small pat on the back. Last week on this very show, you talked up Jon Rahm at 20-1. I talked up Henrik Norlander as a top 20 bet at 7.5-1. We both hit. So big props to you, small props to me. Hopefully everyone won some money.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you get a guy with Jon Rahm's caliber at 20-1, I just feel like I know you don't like to play a lot of those shorter odds guys, but it was sort of glaring to me that Rahm at 20-1 was just a good number. Just throw in a little bit of cash on that number. I mean, he's number one in the world now, so it's not like he was just out there somewhere. I mean, he's number one in the world, and he was at 20-1 last week. So it was just a good number. Excited to hit it. But
stacked field, obviously pretty deep field. They can't all be 10-1. So he had to be back there. It was a good call, good hit. A lot of people I saw tailed it and did well. This week, however, we have a hideous field for the 3M Open, but there's a lot of edge to be gained when you have a field like this. A lot of strategy can come into play. So I want to talk a little bit about the golf course and about our approach to this week. We are playing at TPC Twin Cities just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is the second year that this event has been held on the PGA Tour. Now, TPC Twin Cities has hosted senior tour events for years, but the second time only on the PGA Tour. Last year, Matt Wolff won this event at 21 under. So we are going to see a lot of birdies and a lot of eagles this week, which is very different from last week. Now, what that typically means is it brings anybody into the fold. A lot of different players can win here. Bombers can win here. Short knocker, accurate types can win here. People who you've never heard of could win here. Your short odds, your long odds, all have a chance. Okay, it's a little different when you have an event like last week at the Memorial, where it's very tough. It's playing in major championship conditions. At that point, you tend to see a lot of shorter odds players win and the cream rise to the top. Now, TPC Twin Cities is a par 72, about 7,400 yards, Arnold Palmer design. Some lengthy par 3s that may give the players some fits, but there are some par 5s to take advantage of. The fairway's pretty wide and generous. The rough, pretty generous, like nothing super penal unless they decide to do something different this year than they did last year. As of now, we're recording this on Monday night. We haven't heard anything that would cause us to think this is going to be any different than last week's setup, and it was pretty benign off if you missed the fairway. The greens here also rather benign, okay? Bigger greens, not a lot of undulation, pure bent grass, which means those puppies roll. They do exactly what you think they're going to do. They're not super tricky to read into. And they're not super fast. Now, we also had bent grass greens last week at Jack's place, but those puppies were glassy. Very, very glassy.
Quite glassy.
Yeah, so just a pretty benign kind of resort-feeling golf course. The only defense the course has is there's water in play on about 14 or 15 holes. There's a lot of sand bunkers. It feels very Florida-ish, but it's actually at elevation in Minnesota. It's because it's at elevation. It's not going to play super long. Again, this brings any kind of player into the fold. Now, Matt Wolff won last year. He's a bomber. He beat Bryson DeChambeau, Colin Morikawa. Bryson's obviously a bomber. But Brian Harman popped up last year on the leaderboard. Like, short players can compete here. It's really all about making birdies, taking advantage of those par 5s. So I'm looking at greens in regulation, strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee, whether you get there by accuracy or distance or both, don't care. So that tee to green is of utmost importance. And I'm looking at scoring ability, birdie makers, guys who are going to make birdies and eagles. You got to keep up here. 21 under 1 last year, okay? You got to keep up. So that's really what I'm looking at. Pat, anything to add there, or are you ready to get into it?
No, I mean, I think all the same things. Obviously, I'm up here at 4,000 feet in elevation and on vacation. So didn't have a ton of time to look at the course, but from what I've seen, you are correct, sir. You're very dead on with your course preview, which is usually my job. So good props to you. I'm ready to get into some picks. Now, I know I sent you some preliminary picks that I liked just from my research, and I'm sure you have some questions maybe on some of those guys.
Yeah, and if the people don't know, so Pat, we gave him the day off today, the week off. But he did want to do the DK show, but he did not do the podcast. I did the podcast all by myself. So if you like me more than Pat, then go watch or listen to the podcast I just did. If you don't, then you're probably going to hate it. But I did it all by myself. It was tough to do, but I did it. So Pat watched it live, and so he has some thoughts. We want to talk about two players near the top and talk through some difference of opinion here, Pat. Now, apparently, I talked about Tommy Fleetwood, and what do we do with Tommy Fleetwood? The old Brit making his first appearance over here on the PGA Tour, first appearance playing golf at all since quarantine. We're going to get to see Tommy Fleetwood, the ball-striking, lovely man with long locks and just the purest iron player in the game, just about. But it's his first time back. What do you expect out of Tommy Fleetwood?
I expect the same thing we always see out of Tommy Fleetwood, which is great iron play. He actually, before the whole pandemic started, he was checking the box and strokes gained off the tee. Because if you're looking at stats for him, they're going to end right up until, before the Players. So, because we don't have anything.
Yeah.
But we always talk about Fleetwood as a great ball striker, which you have to do here. You've got to do that well. He checks the box and strokes gained approach. I mean, all those things that you need to do well on this course and score, he does them. Now, I will say, I'm a little concerned with his ownership because I think it's going to be higher than I probably want it to be. Like, I want it to be in like that 15 to 16% range, but I think it's going to be a little bit higher than that. Yeah. But I'm still okay with playing him at 10-5, his first event back. He's been playing. Look, I think I just read today that he shot a 64 at Shinnecock freaking like last week or something. So it's not like he's not playing golf or anything. Now, competition is different, but this is weak competition. So I don't think he's going to be, there's going to be any sort of intimidation factor at all. There's no fans out there. So it's just like he's literally doing what he's been doing, practicing and playing golf for the last several weeks. I don't think it's going to be that much different just because he's in competition. So I do like Fleetwood at 10-5. I think he is a good play. I think I will have a lot of him. Now, if, like I said, if the ownership looks a little bit too high, I may back off a little bit, but I'm still going to have him as a core play for me.
64 at Shinnecock. You saw that just recently?
Yeah, actually, I'll give a shout out to where I read that was actually another DraftKings, a good DraftKings folk, and that is Pat Mayo wrote that up in his article that he I don't know where he saw that, but I'll have to give Pat Mayo some credit for that. He apparently shot 64 at Shinnecock last week. So that's a very tough course if people don't know, by the way.
So, yeah, that's a tough course. Yeah, I mean, basically what I said in this range is I like Fleetwood. He's obviously got a great skill set. I'm not going to be super mad at you for playing him. However, if I'm planting a flag in a handful of names up here, he's not making the cut. I like Finau. I like Paul Casey. And I like a little bit of Harris English up here. And I'm going to have a lot of Tony Finau. So I'm not going to play Fleetwood as a result. But I guess my thing with Fleetwood is if I'm playing devil's advocate, on the flip side, 64 at Shinnecock, this non-tournament golf is one thing. Tournament golf, even though it's a weak field, even though there's no fans, is different. We heard guys talk about that the first week after they came back. We heard them talking about like, hey, this is still different. When you tee it up on a Thursday, it's different. And Tommy's obviously a seasoned veteran and professional for sure. But I just think, okay, if you look at the schedule, next week you got the WGC, big event. The following week you got the PGA Championship, huge event. This just feels like a very natural. Tommy puts it on the schedule to say to his team, hey, We're going to go see what we got, okay? That's what a lot of the pros say, right? I wanted to come here and see what I got and start gearing up for the major, right? That's upcoming. Shake the rust off, whatever. Now, a lot of times that happens and guys come out and play great. Sometimes it happens and they suck. We saw that at the first event back for the Colonial. We saw a lot of big names suck. A lot of them suck. So, given the price tag, given the fact that you have to plant flags up here, given the fact he's probably going to be 20% or more owned in tournaments, if I got to pick a name to fade up here, I feel like Fleetwood is a big name to do it. But honestly, if I have to play somebody, I'd rather play him over Brooks or DJ. That's what's crazy. Like, I would actually still rather play him over Brooks or DJ. But Finau is my guy I'm planting a flag on.
You're not afraid at all on Finau after what he did last week.
Nah.
By the way, was that not the worst course management you've ever seen over the weekend?
Pretty poor. He got too aggressive.
I like the aggressive play. But it was way too aggressive. Like, it was beyond Phil Mickelson aggressive. Like, he just
which is pretty off the charts aggressive. Yeah, it's why. I don't understand. I didn't understand that. But I love the state of his game, and I love coming here and doing the same thing because he can be aggressive here. He's going to need to be. You have to be aggressive here.
You're right.
All right, another guy that I know we disagreed on is Matt Wolff. Matt Wolff is the defending champion, and I'm just not. It takes a lot for me to get on Matt Wolff because I just haven't seen the consistency. He gives you a lot of upside. Yes, he gives you winning upside, 100%. But he also, his floor is not as high as what I would like it to be for a guy priced 9,700. Now, he finished 22nd last week at the Memorial. That's fantastic. But I mean, here's his recent events. 22nd last week, miscut the week before at an easier setup, Birdie Fest. Week before that, runner up at an easier Birdie Fest setup. Week before that, miscut at an easier Birdie Fest setup. Week before that, miscut. Week before that, 54th. Like, that's all since the restart. He's just so up and down. He's still very young. Yes, this is obviously a course that sets up well for him. He could win just like he did last year. He gained almost 10 shots with his irons last year. 10 shots with his irons. The next best performance he's had since then was a few weeks later at the Wyndham, where he gained 5.6. He doesn't typically do that with his irons, okay? He had a great iron week. It was probably a lot of wedges into these greens, but I just don't see the consistency paying off for Matt Wolff, and you're paying $9,700 for him. I think you get as much upside and probably a higher floor with some of the names priced below him. So I'm not interested in any Matt Wolff, especially if his ownership is 15% or more. If it's 15, I will gladly fade Matt Wolff. If it's sub 10, which it won't be, then maybe I'd play him.
I don't think it's going to be sub 10. I don't think it's going to be sub 10, but I still think. Here's the thing about Wolff is, like, you're correct. I mean, he is so just inconsistent right now from week in and week out. But the dude is a scorer. We know that. We know he's played well here before, obviously, because he won. He's got that win upside again. He can win this tournament back to back. I don't think there's any question that he can't do that. So I like him from a scoring standpoint. I think that there's guys around him that are certainly good. Like, I like Lucas Glover. He's right there below him. But I'm still all about some Wolff. And now I would like to see where his ownership is, just like anybody else, come Wednesday. But I don't see why you come off of him. And we do typically see a lot of people don't want to play a guy that won the year before. They just don't, for some reason. They're in their psyche. They say, okay, well, he won the year before. There's no way he can top that this year. Well, I don't believe that at all.
It doesn't happen often, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, I don't believe that at all with him. I think Wolff is a good play this week. I don't mind the price at $9,700. I mean, he's priced fine. I mean, this is a weak field event. He should be up there where he is. So
yeah, I don't think inherently, I don't think there's anything wrong with his price. But what I'm saying is, from a consistency, like, high floor, it's not much different than probably 10 guys below him. It's the high floor part. The ceiling part, yes, maybe. Like, is his ceiling better than Russell Henley's? Yes.
I think you could say that, though, about a lot of guys in this upper range, to be honest. If we're being honest.
Like, I think Finau, Fleetwood, Casey, like, I think their floor is very, very high compared to a lot of these players. Right now.
Yeah.
If you're putting your life on a made cut from this whole top tier, you're putting your life on the line for a made cut. I don't think Matt Wolff is your best option.
If I'm putting my life on the line, no, I probably wouldn't say that. Like, if we're doing it that way. But
well, okay, out of this is a fun scenario. Your life on the line for just a made cut. So made cut.
Forget
DJ, Brooks, Finau, or Fleetwood.
Playing outside your value. Made cut.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Made cut, DJ, Brooks, Finau, or Fleetwood. Life on the line. Which one? Right now.
I'm going Fleetwood. Fleetwood for sure.
Who would be your second pick?
Probably DJ.
Over Finau, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't care about what he did last week. I really don't care what DJ did last week. I just feel like last week was last week. Whatever. He shot 280s. Like, when is that going to happen with DJ ever?
I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but obviously he's still back and forth. I mean,
well, he won like 2 weeks ago. So.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's talk some DK Sportsbook stuff. I got a few picks here. You know me. I like to start in the mid-range or longer odds. I like Erik van Rooyen at 45-1. South African who played college golf at University of Minnesota. He's a Golden Gopher. Scorer, makes tons of birdies, tons of eagles, hits it a long way. Ball striker. Love EVR here at 45-1. I bet that number gets shorter by Wednesday.
Agree.
Little bit of interest in Charlie Hoffman at 70-1. I like Charlie on a course that's not too tight. He's a ball striker, proven PGA Tour winner, just kind of a wily veteran that can get into a birdie fest if he gets hot and go toe to toe. I like Sepp Straka and Taylor Gooch. Straka is at 80-1, Gooch at 90-1. Both young guys looking for a breakout victory like Matt Wolff had here last year. Both guys exceptional tee to green right now. Straka blew up on the weekend. He kind of had a Tony Finau. Just kind of the wheels fell off on Sunday at Memorial, but it was brutal. I'm not really taking into account a lot of that. Just brutal. But tee to green, the guy scores a ton on par fives, gains a lot of strokes off the tee. Gooch is kind of that similar profile. Keith Mitchell, 110-1, a winner at PGA National at the Honda last year or 2 years ago, a course that I feel like is very similar. Another bomber, made the cut and played into the weekend at Memorial last week, scores on par fives, 110-1 for old Killer Keith. I kind of like that. And one huge long shot I'll give you, Seamus Power, long-hitting Nordic boy, I believe is what he is. Hits it a long ways, loves par fives, loves scoring fests. He is 300-1, but he's also 25-1 for a top 10. And I kind of think Seamus Power, if you go back and look at his history on the PGA Tour, ton of miscuts, but he's got some top 10s. The dude has knocked on the door, and been in some of the final groups over the weekend. It's just going to be miscut or that. So I like the potential upside there. Long shot. Maybe put a little quarter unit on old Seamus at 300-1. What about any outrights or top 20s or 10s or whatever you got before we get into some matchups to wrap it up?
All right. Well, I'll just, I'm going to start shorter in because it worked for me last week. So that's what I do. So I think I'm going to put, I'm going to double up some units and put them on Fleetwood at 17-1. I like that number for him. I was with you, by the way, on the old EVR, Erik van Rooyen at 45-1. I like him. Sam Burns at 50-1. I think that's a good number for him. I don't know. I don't think you mentioned Norlander, which was kind of surprising. I like him at 66-1. I was with you on Sepp Straka at 80-1. Richie Werenski at 100-1. I think he is a great play this week at that number. I also like him to top 10 at 9-1. So I like that as well. And then really my favorite play of the week is Chase Seifert at 110 to 1. I love it. I mean, this guy is checking boxes, and he's definitely putts well on bent grass greens. He's 14th in the field in putting on bent grass, so I like that as well. So that's my longest guy that I'm going to go with. I do like the Seamus power play. I didn't get to dive as deep as you did looking at these bets, but I like that play as well. But Seifert, I think, is sneaky at 110 to 1.
Sneaky Seifert. There you go. All right, I got a few matchup bets. And I love taking some underdogs in matchups. You guys can tell I kind of like. Anyway, one of these I'm going to contradict a little bit here. The line has already moved since earlier this afternoon. Tony Finau was a favorite -137 against Tommy Fleetwood +110. Now that's already moved to Finau is -125 and Fleetwood is +100. I think that if I'm taking the matchup, I think you take the plus number on a guy of Tommy Fleetwood's caliber against Tony Finau. Now, if this is Tommy Fleetwood +100 against Bryson or JT or Rory, I think that's different. But +100 against Tony Finau, I actually kind of like that for Fleetwood in that tournament matchup. I'm sure you would agree.
Yes.
Also, Doc Redman, the old doctor, he is +100 against Luke List at -120. Both of these guys have pretty high ceilings. I think Redman's floor currently is a little higher, just based on current form. Redman, I like a little better than what Luke List is doing consistently since the restart. Doc Redman is going to eat up these par fives. He's going to score a ton. He looks to be pretty highly owned across the DFS world already on Monday. So you could fade him there and bet him or play him in the matchups here potentially.
I like him in the matchup. I don't like him as much on DK, just as far as like tournament play and so because I think he's gonna be way too high owned. So,
gotcha. That's about it. I mean, yeah, that's probably it for me. You got any matchup bets? Or you good?
Yeah, well, I'll go just below what you were looking at. I like Charlie Hoffman at +100 over Johnny Vegas.
I looked at that, but I kind of like Vegas too, though.
See, Vegas does sort of pop as just, I don't know, but I think Hoffman is, if you look at his stats, he really is hitting the ball pretty well leading up to this event. So I like him in that matchup. There was one more that I liked.
I like both of those guys. That is a tough one, though. If it were like... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I could mess with that one. I like them both.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and of course, right there at the top, I mean, I'm all in on Fleetwood over Finau at +100. So. Okay,
I got one more. I like Scott Stallings +105 against Troy Merritt at -125. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I like that one.
I have a hard time buying into Troy Merritt.
Merritt killed me last week. Troy Merritt, though, should play this course well. He should play this course well.
Why did people say that? Like they said it last week. I was like, no.
He's a good ball striker. He's like a proximity guy. Like in these big greens, he can hit it close. He gives himself scoring opportunities.
Proximity BS. Don't give me that.
I don't care.
BS.
Merritt can look. Merritt's gonna. But here's the thing: you can't ever tell. It's like you said with Matthew Wolff. Merritt just pops out of nowhere, and then he's gonna. So it's like if you're gonna put your money on a matchup bet with him, I don't think I would do that. But I might play him in DK.
I think Stallings for sure has a higher floor than Troy Merritt, and he's been in decent form too. Good ball striker. Yeah, I don't get that bet at all. So I like the plus number there with Scott Stallings. That's it. TJ After Dark, presented by DraftKings. We appreciate you guys for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the DraftKings channel. Go check out the Tour Junkies YouTube channel as well. Drop us a comment. Leave us a question. Tell us what you think. Be nice. Don't be rude.
Please be nice. Especially to me. I can be sensitive at times.
Yeah. Understatement of the year. All right, everyone, have a fantastic night, fantastic week. Thanks for watching. May your screens be green. See ya.